Okay, so the first website that I sent you for our field trip takes you here. And if you look, we have the sun, we have the moon, and we have the earth. If you click on the moon, you can actually move it and it will orbit around the earth. And then if you look up here, you'll see when the sun comes up and then when it goes down. And as the sun goes down, you'll start to see the moon. So here we have just a little sliver. So if you remember, that little sliver is called the crescent moon. Then as the moon continues to orbit, then we've got, we have the quarter moon or the half moon, and that's when it kind of looks like we only have half of a moon, or like it's cut in half. Then as it continues to go around and orbit around the earth, we get to the full moon, and that's when the moon looks really big and bright in the sky at night. Then if you remember from our video, the moon keeps going around the earth, and then it looks like the moon starts to get a little smaller and smaller. So if you keep going, here we have the quarter moon again, and it gets smaller and smaller. Then we have the crescent moon until it's all the way back where we started, and we have a new moon. And that's when it looks like there's no moon in the sky at night. You can also click on the earth, and you can orbit the moon around the earth like that too. So it kind of does the same thing. You can see the moon as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then if you keep going, you'll see it get smaller and smaller. So that's our first website. The second website for our field trip takes you to this website where it shows you an actual picture of the moon, which is really, really cool. So if you move the moon around, you'll see the different phases. So if we move it all the way, this would be the moon during a new moon, when it looks like there's no moon in the sky at all. So you see it's actually the moon, it's there, there's just no light reflecting on it. So let's go back to our other website and see what the position of the moon and the sun and the earth is when we have a new moon. Okay, so here's a new moon. So if you see, here's the sun, here's the moon, and here's the earth. So when the moon looks like this, like it's dark, and we see the dark side of the moon, that means that the light that's shining from the sun is over here. So let's look at these positions. Oops. Now let's move it so that it's a quarter moon. And let's look at the position in the sky. So here we have a quarter moon, or a half moon, and if you look, the sun is over here, here's the earth, and then let's look at the moon. So some of the light from the sun is reflecting on the moon, but the other half of it is dark because it's facing this way. So that's why to us it looks like there's only half of a moon, but it's actually all there. That's just the light reflecting. So let's look at this now. So we know that the sun would be over here, and then that's why this part is bright. Now let's go to a full moon, and let's look at our other website again. So when it's a full moon, the moon is over here, the earth is in the middle, and the sun is over here. So we have the sun shining and reflecting on the moon, And let's look over here. And it looks really bright. And it looks like it's a big round circle in the sky. Now another really cool thing about this is that you can move it around, and let's look at the surface of the moon. Does it look like the surface of the moon would be smooth or maybe a little bumpy? So let's look at these big holes here. Those are called craters. And that's when big meteors, or kind of like big rocks in the sky, crashed on the moon and they made these big bumps. So it's not actually smooth, it's kind of bumpy. So now it's your turn to go explore around the moon. You can go all the way around, you can look at the surface, you can move it and make different phases. And then we can go back over here and you can practice moving the moon around the Earth and see how it changes the different phases. All right, I hope you enjoy.